Hello everyone and welcome to my little corner of the internet. My name's Michael and I'm bitten by radioactive book. Today is Monday and that means review time on my channel, and this week I'm reviewing Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. Warbreaker is one of the first novels Brandon Sanderson wrote. It's part of his Cosmere. If you're not already familiar with the Cosmere, it's an attempt by Brandon Sanderson to connect all of his fantasy worlds. So actually every of his fantasy world plays in the same universe, and there will be series in the future that connect all of his works. So this includes the Mistborn universe, the Stormlight Archives universe, the Elantris universe, and the Warbreaker universe. So these are all part of the same setting. And Warbreaker in itself was planned as a standalone, but there is a novella as well set in the same world, and there will be a sequel to Warbreaker. In Warbreaker, we're following the fate of two nations. We have the large nation of Helandren, and the Helandren worship returned dead people. So apparently, people who did something very heroic or died in a heroic way return and then are praised as gods. So the pantheon of the Helandren is actually a pantheon of kind of undead with some godly powers. It's all a bit mysterious how this really works. And this nation is ruled by the God King. The second nation we're looking at is Idris, and Idris is a smaller nation that is afraid of the military might of Helandren. So there was a treaty between these two nations that promised when the eldest daughter would become, I think, 22 or would turn 22, they would send her and marry her off to the God King of Helandren. And so there is kind of a reluctant peace between the two nations. And the four characters we're looking at in this novel are two princesses of Idris. The first is the aforementioned Viviana, who is supposed to marry the God King, and we're also following her little sister called Ciri, who's kind of a tomboy, and it's kind of hard to control her for her father. Another character we're following is actually one of those returned gods from Helandren called Lightsong. And the last character is the mysterious Vasha, who owns a sentient sword called Nightblood and who's able to do a lot of magic because he has a lot of breath. So breath is a magic system. As you know, Brandon Sanderson is very famous for doing very special magic systems. So every person basically owns one breath, and if you accumulate a lot of breath, then you can do some magical things with it. So people can, out of their own free will, give their breath away to someone else. So they don't die. Then it's just like giving away this kind of possible ability, but with only having your own breath you can't really do a thing. So there are people in the world that accumulate these kind of breath and maybe have 50 breath or 100 breath or even more. And with having a lot of breath you can do some magic stuff. There is a lot of explanation what you can do and what you can't do. I won't go into too much detail, but just have this in mind. And Vasha, our fourth character, is a character that gets into the possession of a lot of breath during the prologue. And of course, how all these characters yeah, relate to the main plot of the book will be for you to find out. But I personally really enjoyed this book. I'm not the biggest Sanderson fan in terms of his writing. I love all his ideas, the magic system. I totally dig the idea of the Cosmere, but the actual stories that I've read so far are always enjoyable. But I'm not one of the people who say, oh, every Sanderson book is a 5-star book for me. Mostly they tend to be between 3 and 4 stars, and for a Sanderson book or for a plot, this one was really enjoyable. It's one of the better books, I think, by him. That was surprising for me, because I heard that many people say the first 2 standalones, Elantris and Warbreaker, aren't as good as the following books, but for Elantris that was true for me, but Warbreaker I did really enjoy and awarded it 4 stars in the end. Especially the characters are really done well, and Lightsong, this god, is hilarious. He's one of my favorite characters because he is a god and he doesn't believe in himself, because he's always like very skeptical, like, yeah, we are returned from the dead, but does that really mean that we are gods? I think I'm not really convinced by that. So he has actually his own priest, and for them it's like horrible to walk around with a god who doesn't really think that he is a god. And yeah, he is very, very funny, and he was by far my favorite character in the whole book. And of course, the staple things like the magic system, the imaginative world, a good plot, I think. For me, the plot is very political. That was a plus for me, because I like this kind of court intrigues, and the political dealings between Idris and Helandrin were very interesting to me. So yeah, that all played into my kind of wheelhouse, and as I said, I really, really enjoyed the book, and I would highly recommend it to be a good portal book into the Cosmere. So if you're one of those readers that hears Sanderson here, Sanderson there, Sanderson everywhere on a lot of YouTube or booktube channels at the moment, and think about, yeah, maybe I get into him, then Warbreaker is one of the better ways to start with him, I think. So that's it from me today. I hope you enjoyed this little review. If you did, please hit the like button. If you want to see more of me, subscribe to my channel. If you want to know what's coming up on my channel, look inside the description box. There's a little segment there called On the Horizon. I wish you a good day and hope you get bitten by a really good book too. Bye.